place in San Luis Obispo, which is like an hour away. And I drove up there at 8:20, not knowing I'd get back in time for 11 o'clock. Because obviously that's the time difference. And I put my foot down and got back for like 5 to 11. So I made it. And you can see my dedication to this channel because there's a mint place that I drive right past in Pismo Beach, what sells good booze and really good Mexican food. And I sped past it to get back in time for this stream. So you are very welcome, devoted bootcateers. How's everyone doing? Sardal said he doesn't care what anyone says. The British Empire was the best. I was a staunch redcoat long before it was cool. But with the caveat that I've always classed the Anglosphere, which is why I like that logo so much, as basically related. Essentially, I'm of the opinion that ideally, in about 1805, the British, the Americans, because if we'd have had an assist from the Americans, we'd have been able to smash everyone. I feel like basically the big imperial powers, the French, the Portuguese, the Americans, the Spanish, and the British, essentially, if all five of them just got together in like 1810 and said, I'll tell you what, we'll all be mates, let's divvy the entire planet up and just run the lot. You could just divide it up by the sort of modern time zones and just take like 3 each or whatever it is. And the whole world would be a better place. I'm 100% convinced of it. What about Africa, Asia, and the Middle East has convinced you that things would be better if we didn't do that, right? The whole of Africa, basically a write-off. The regulars at Allen's world-famous snack bar will make a pig's ear out of every society on the planet. And the kitchen sinks and the kitchen taps, they don't do much of a better job either. So, in my opinion, the whole planet would be better if the European powers colonised the entire world. You know what I mean? You might get like the next Bach coming out of Saudi Arabia in 1830, but alas, we didn't. So what did we do? We lost confidence in European colonialism, and we let the entire planet turn into a absolute cesspit. So yeah, I was a redcoat long before it was cool, but tragically, the world didn't go the way I envisaged it. Anyway, who's important? Who's in? Joe's in now. Then Steve Fricker, all right. Andy Harris, Stu, all right. Angry CFC, how are you? Even though he's a Chelsea fan, we've got some time for him. Am's all right, and anybody else who's important and in. Thanks for coming. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, hasn't it? The UK turning into an absolute sink wasn't something I expected, but well, I kind of did expect it, just not that fast. So what is Bootneck t-shirt day? Well, get in. I do live in hope that I'll see someone sporting one of these days when I go back to the UK. It's been a crazy time the last couple of years. You can't. Again, it's incorrect to say I didn't see it coming because that's what I've been doomsaying for about 4 or 5 at this point. I don't know the exact date when I made my channel. I think it was during the pandemic when I got raged, wasn't it? I think that's when I started it. Wish I'd started 10 years earlier, but you know I was busy. Also, I didn't think you could actually make any money doing it, so I did wonder where all these people were getting the time to spend hours making videos when I was busy toiling. But yeah, there you go. You can't have everything, can you? At least I got there in the end. So breaking news. Let's have a quick look at this. Who is it? I don't think they've told us what he's done yet. MP suspended from Labour Party after arrest 6 minutes ago by Damien Grammaticus. That's cool. He's one of the heroes from the 40k franchise, John Grammaticus. I didn't know that was a real name. The Labour Party has suspended MP Dan Norris after being informed of his arrest, a party spokesman has told the BBC. The suspension means Mr Norris, the MP for North East, Somerset and Hanham, is also understood to have had the party whip suspended, meaning he's not able to sit as Labour MP in the Commons. The Labour Party spokesman said they could not comment further while the police investigation is ongoing. Shall we have a quick look for what he's doing? Because you know what the BBC's like. they might be covering for him. You might go on Sky News Australia and it's like, Dan Norris caught wanking outside a public school. Let's have a quick look. What's he done? Looks like a wrong'un. Looks like a wrong'un. There he is. Look, holding a puppy with a fake sympathetic look in his eyes. Wrong'un. What's he done? Oh, God, get in. Get in. What did I say? What did I call? Twice before I was aware of it. Well, whoop-de-doo. Lo and behold. Oh, yeah, you're not looking at the story. I've just found it. Here we are. Ta-da! There you go. What did I say? What did I say? Never saw that coming 20 miles away. It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable. And this is what I'm saying, like, I'm not some sort of visionary genius. I'm like a piss taker. But you just know, don't you? You just know wrong'un. I love it. Absolutely love it. You know what? You might get some like American who's out in the sticks or something, who doesn't know much about British politics, and he'll see the start of that stream where I didn't really know what had happened, and I was like, oh, you know, he's probably been caught pulling himself off on a public bus or diddling some kids or whatever. And some American might be like, whoa, this guy is like such an astute political genius. No. Everyone who's working class in the UK knows that the Houses of Parliament is the biggest collection of sexual deviant scum on planet Earth. Strangeways and Broadmoor aren't as full of degenerate perverts as the British Houses of Parliament. It's unbelievable. So of course he's a diddler. They all are. I was laughing, and actors as well. Let's not forget actors. I seen, what's his name? Hugh Grant on Twitter morning, right? Saying that when he was going through Heathrow, one of the guards stopped him and was like, are these your mum and dad? You know, the kids? They're like, is this really your mum and dad? And he was like, oh, I was so terribly insulted. I was like, you're an actor. You're a sex pest actor. I'd trust the local burglar, smackhead drug dealer with the kids before I'd trust him with a Hollywood actor, wouldn't you? If you were sat in the pub and you were like, oh no, there's an emergency, I've got to go, the wife's in labour with the third, I desperately need a babysitter, who can I? And you look around and you've got like the local smackhead, burglar, drug dealer, and then Hugh Grant. I'd be like, hello, Mr. Smackhead. Have you ever looked after a child before? People are unbelievable. So, of course they did. You're an actor. The worst type of sexual deviant scum. The only thing worse is a politician. On the scale of things in it, the three, it's like, you know, murderers, drug dealers, hit and run, drink drivers, and then you've got like going down and down, and then you've got like lawyers, actors, politicians, but most politicians are lawyers, so then they manage to go like morph together like a transformer when it changes and goes down below even lower. Like, they're all absolute scum, aren't they? All of them. Like, 9 out of 10 of them are lawyers. Like that Jolyon Mormon or whatever he's called. And they're just the worst. I'm not even joking. I definitely trust a local bad lad. Like, you've got like a local bad lad who's always getting nicked because he's a football hooligan, you know. He's been done for hooliganism and shoplifting. I'd leave the kid with him before I pick a politician. Keir Starmer. You're having a laugh, aren't you? Keir Starmer would be dug up your firstborn faster than you could say, that was a grave error. They're just awful. Politicians are worse than televangelists. Televangelists are just motivated by money. Politicians are motivated by money, power, and lust. They get into that job so they can bugger children without getting in trouble for it. They're the worst type of degenerates. Yeah, I'd pick the televangelist. I'd rather leave the kids with Billy Graham than Keir Starmer. I'm telling you. So, let's have a read. I'm rambling. There he is. Just looks like a wrong'un, doesn't he? Looks like a wrong'un. Dan Norris has been arrested on suspicion of being a diddler. Well, twist my nipples and call me Frank. I never saw that one coming 50 miles away on fire. Norris, who was last night suspended by the Labour Party, one would hope so, was quizzed on Friday over claims of historic sexual attacks on a girl and a surprise sex allegation. Avon and Somerset Police has also confirmed that he's been held on suspicion of misconduct in public office. That's the least. Well, they all do that. We don't just arrest people for misconduct in public office because they all do it. The force revealed the investigation centres around historic claims made by a girl in the 2000s. Oh, here we are. With a more recent allegation also being made. Diddle, diddle, diddle. In a statement, Avon and Somerset Police said, in December 2024, we received a referral from another police force relating to a non-recent child. The obvious. Most of the offences are alleged to have occurred in the 2000s, but we're also investigating one from the 2020s. Our team remains ongoing and at an early stage. The victim is being supported and given access to specialist help or support she needs. I always wonder, what does specialist help do? Like, how much specialist training do you need to go to sit in a room with a lass go, do you want a cup of tea? Yeah, I'll make you a cup of tea. You've had a shit week, haven't you? It's the thing is as well, bobbies love doing that. I was only joking. I'm not making light of the fact that you're going to need professional help after something like that happens. You know, not everyone was a Bootneck who straddled the battlefield like a mighty colossus with a mind like a steel trap and bollocks like coconuts, because I didn't need any professional help. I needed to go for a drink with my mates and relax for a bit. That's what I needed. But they love this because they don't do real work. Coppers don't do real work anymore. Have you noticed? They love specialist help for victims. They love doing that. They can't move for people. You can't move for bobbies who want to do that. If you say to them, I've just been stabbed and bummed by 8 Somalian blokes, they go, oh, we get a team of specialist support unit around there. They'll bring a bloke over with a bag of frozen peas. They'll bring a bloke over to make you a cup of tea. They'll bring a couple of fat lasses over to have a chat with you and check on your feelings. But being a normal man, I don't want all of that. I would say, here, you put the peas down. I can make my own cup of tea. Get these 2 fat lasses out the house and replace them with some burly blokes. Go and chase and rugby tackle the bloke who's just smashed my shit locker in. That's what I'd say. And this is the crack. The coppers love victim access specialist shite because they don't like doing the job. Doing the job. I'm going on to a rant about the Rozzers because I hate it, right? But let me just segue briefly into it. They don't want to do real police work. That's why they do this all the time. But you can't un-Roger a victim of a surprise sex attack, right? You can't stitch back the minge of someone who's just endured a 2-hour struggle snuggle with a 25-strong gang of Somalian pirates who just moved to Luton last week. You can't unstab people or unburgle them. The worst thing is being a victim of crime, and all of the nice chats and cups of tea and bags of frozen peas to sit on don't make a wank worth of difference, right? The real problem is the police don't police the streets anymore. That's the problem. Because they all want to do this instead. They want to sit online, policing social media. They love doing that. Because you can have a biscuit, can't you? You can dip rich tea fingers in your tea and have a cuppa and sit there and you can look at the tweets for a little bit and then you can go and watch some vile XXX pornography or whatever you think, and then you do that for 10 minutes and fling yourself around your office for 5, and then you get back to policing the tweets, and then you can go and talk to someone about the horrific incident. But if they just did the job, which used to be small local police forces pounding the tarmac, then you wouldn't have to deal with so much of this stuff. We need the beat Bobby to come back. Yes, bookmark, exactly right. Bring back the Bobby. That's what you need. This is why the whole of the country's gone to hell in a handbasket. Because we don't police the streets anymore. And they love buying CCTV and drones. Ooh, get some drones to follow them on the Cotswolds because they dare to break the lockdown. They love doing no work. The modern Bobby is a failure. They're useless. Sack all of the desk jockeys. Basically, I wouldn't even do it by qualifications, mate. I'd do it by whether or not they were obese. I'd weigh every copper, and all the ones who were obese would get sacked. Simple. And I'd replace anyone who couldn't do a fitness test. If you can't run a mile in 8 minutes, see you later. Hire some bobbies who can, and then get them out. And you don't need to buy them drones, and you don't need to buy them specialist equipment. You need to buy them a nice pair of high-tech Magnum boots and a big bastard truncheon and say, get out there and police the streets. That's what you need to do. Specialist help. It's all shite. Oh, them 6 who turned up last week that I was talking about with Paula. 6 of them turned up to nick 2 parents for doing nout. Because they all want to do that. They don't want to go and earn the hard money because they now hire fat cowards and crooks, and Stephen Hawking could police the streets better than most of these people. Honestly, if you're a copper in the chat, I know there's quite a lot of coppers follow me. Well, most of them send me messages and leak information about relative stories, but most of them are shit now. Basically, if you're under 30, you're probably a shitty copper. We need beat bobbies back. Fit, strong beat bobbies. Like I said, I always harp on about it. My old pal Richie, 6'2", fit as a fiddle, didn't want him. They didn't want him. They wanted a little fat roller leather. That's what they want. Come on, little fat roller leather. Come on, you're going to Police Academy, love. You'll be great at offering specialist help to Bootneck when he's just been bummed senseless by 20 men from a third world country. I don't want specialist help. I want a big bloke with a truncheon to go and knock 10 bells of shite out of the blokes who've just pumped and dumped me, right? And then drag them to a cell and then put them in a very, very harsh prison with terrible food, mildly abusive guards, and total intolerance. So this is what the crack is. This is why they're all being given specialist help, because no one's going to actually go out and do any real policing. There'll be 6 of them in the room with that lass. Oh, Janice will talk to you, Sarah will rub your arm, Rachel will put the kettle on, Claire will sit and observe because she's in training. None of them will go and police the streets. It's shocking. Anyway, rant about the coppers over. There he is, doing a bit of... I'm glad you can see both hands there. I would expect one of them to be down the drawers. So that's one of a rare photo of him not being a diddler. Rare photo of a British politician not being a diddler. You saw it here first, world exclusive. A man aged in his 60s was arrested of the obvious. This is an active and sensitive investigation, so we'd respectfully ask people not to speculate. Shut up, copper. Oh, you're respectfully asking me not to speculate? Speculate. Ooh, let's do some speculating. Was it a disabled foreigner? Probably been plugged up them. I've told you this as well. Whatever the authorities ask you to do now, you've got to be careful and make sure you're not breaking any laws. But polite requests you can always ignore. Always, can you? This is what the idiots that now work for the British police and the government think. They think polite requests have some form of legal mandate. Yes, they've stomped all over your human rights and took the piss for the last 20 years, but there are still some freedoms in the United Kingdom. And one thing that is still free, ladies and gentlemen, is the ability to ignore polite requests. Okay? You requesting me to do something, police of the United Kingdom, the most corrupt, decadent, incompetent, useless, clueless police farce in the entire world at this point. What used to be the envy of the world, the British Bobby, is now a joke, an embarrassment, because you colluded with diddlers for 30 years. I mean, people are like, why is the Bootneck so cynical, man? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the British police colluded with foreign men to diddle your kids. I mean, call me a bluff old traditionalist. I think if an organisation helps swarthy foreign gentlemen bounce on the children, I think it's normal to distrust them. Okay, this is definitely a controversial take I'm making. But if you want to know, if you're foreign and you go, why don't the British people support the police anymore? That's why. That's why. We've seen the evidence. They sent the circular out telling the coppers, don't do anything about it. Easy Meat talks about it. The coppers were pulling up in like disused car parks looking for doggers. Because that's an easy night, isn't it? Just drive around looking for doggers, give them a fine. But if they didn't find a couple of doggers, if they found two Puma trackies rogering an 8-year-old, the coppers used to go, all right, lads, yeah, and drive away. The evidence is all there. You've read the book, right? Told you the story I read. The coppers tapped on the window, and when he looked in, he was getting a nosh off a child. And when he said, what's going on here? The Puma promptly responded, she's noshing me off, mate. And him and his mate were laughing, and the copper went and just drove off. That happened. That happens in England because they've been told from the very, very top, for the good of diversity, you will look the other way when they are tonking toddlers. That's what the British police have been told. That's a fact. You know it and I know it. Don't need to go. There's no actually, guys, in the comments, right? Because you all know it's true. If one turned up and went, actually, where's the source? The replete. The BBC's replete with these type of stories. The bobbies are complicit. They helped foreign men diddle your kids. So yes, don't trust them. If they make a polite request, do the opposite. I wouldn't give a copper the time these days. I wouldn't. If I walk past the bobby and went, have you got the time, please, mate? I go, nope. I've got it, but you're not having it. Because are you late for an appointment to drop 8 kids off round a Puma Trackie's house? Yeah, do one. I'm not giving you jack shit. This is my... And again, am I an extremist? A boring, middle-of-the-road, centrist... Well, to many of you in here, lefty arsehole, aren't I? Because I was always on the side of the forces of order. I was always reasonable, I was always centrist, but it's 2025 and the world's gone completely mad. And if you're not willing to trust the evidence of your own eyes and ears, then you don't deserve to have an opinion. You're too stupid. You shouldn't be allowed to vote if you're that thick. We should have civics tests that are actually difficult. You know what's interesting about that? Peter Hitchens, I listened to an interview with him with Aaron Bastani on Novara, and he was talking about how I'm guessing he's never read Heinlein because he's like a bit of an old fuddy-duddy. And he was saying, oh, I know people think I sound like a fascist when I say this, but some people should get more votes. And he was like, why? And Hitchens rightfully said, because most people are stupid. And he talked about how he wrote a book about the collapse of society. And one of the minor causes, because there's myriad, obviously, is the collapse of the family unit. And he said in one of his books, there's like a page where he talks about how central heating is a minor cause. Because he said in the old days, when you didn't have central heating, you had one room in the house that was warm. So everyone would pile into the living room where you'd have a coal fire and you'd all sit there and talk. And it made me think, like, we had central heating, but thanks to the fact I'm from the northeast, from a single parent family, my dad was the tightest welder on planet Earth. I kind of had that. Like, he never put the heating on. In my bedroom, you could see your breath. I remember playing like my Nintendo with a duvet wrapped around me. I played like Mario Kart on the SNES, and I was like, and you could see your breath. It was Baltic. So when it was Baltic, we used to all go downstairs, and there was one fire, and it was red as the gas fire. We all used to sit in there and shoot the shit. And I used to sit right in front of it. If it was Baltic, I'd sit cross-legged right in front of the fire when I'm on my own. And my dad would come in and go, oi, that's meant to heat the room, not blow straight up your ass. Like, he used to force me to move. But it made me think, we used to do that. Like, and my nana would sit there, knitting, and I'd sit there, and my dad would be reading the paper, and me and my brother have a crack in that. And we used to, like, you have a family unit. And he was saying how it's gone now. Central heating made everybody just move to all the different aspects of the house. And I was like, that is a good point, that. And he said, anyway, that the end of the story is, he said, he wrote this in this book. It's a big, massive book with loads of interesting information in there. And the general public took it as Peter Hitchens advocates for the end of central heating. And he was like, if you're that thick that from this book, the whole point of the book was missed, and you just thought it was a gigantic tome about why we should get rid of central heating. You're a moron. And that is the world we're living in today. People are stupid, like low information. You type something on Twitter. I'm sick of seeing it on Twitter. Every single thing anyone who is a nationalist or a populist types is just, and same on YouTube, the comment section is just Russia, fascist, like one-word responses. It's unbelievable. Like, the real world is so complex, and you just see that. Like, someone will make a point that's good, left or right, because I love arguing with lefties, intelligent ones, and nobody argues, nobody addresses the meat of the argument. They just go, fascist, Russia, 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 commie. Like, there's no argument at all. And those of you that watch this, I like to think I do still do the name calling, yeah, because I meet them on their own terms. Yeah, I'm definitely not above calling Jess Phillips sheep teeth or Diane Abacus the hippopotamus, right, or Lambtron or androgynous android or any of them. Verhoff twat, Ursula von Scheisse. I'm not above any of that. But the mainstay of me is arguing, pulling the points to bits. And they don't do that. They literally, every single thing Elon posts, even if it's clever or subtle, is just, yeah, Russia, yeah, Putin's bitch, yeah, fascist. Like, it's unbelievable how stupid the average person is. So it's terribly depressing. But we are where we are, aren't we? And I forget what I went on to a segue about there, because I was meant to be talking about the diddler. But anyway, there he is. There he is. Yep. You know for a fact he was plugging that golden retriever an hour later. See, that's just name calling. So I don't know that for a fact. I hope I don't need to put caveats on quips on this channel. So, yeah. Norris, who is unmarried. Oop. Oh, and he's in the NSPCC. Get in. I love that. I love it. You do surprise me. NSPCC trained child protection officer. Yeah, protect them. What's the idea? If you've got them in your spare room and you're bumming them every day, you're protecting them from fire. Is that what an NSPCC child protection officer is? Oh, they're definitely safe from hunger and the elements because I feed them before I roger them every night. Good job. Good job, Mr. Norris. You're killing it, you, mate. Fantastic job. Love that. Yeah. Well, this isn't a mature channel, is it? But we do still argue properly around these parts. Thanks for that, Joe. I can never see them. And cheers anyway. It's StreamYard. So yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah. Tuck that lip in, boy. I don't want to hit a tripwire with it. So that's brilliant. Love that. Let's see what else is on the BBC homepage, shall we? UK politics. God, I hate Lambtron. I hate Lambtron so much. There he is. I hate everything about him. He just looks horrible. Number 10 rejects Lambtron's suggestion of US protectionism. He's always sweating, isn't he? He always looks sweaty. He's just fat and lazy, and he probably gets a bead on walking up 3 steps in. He'd get a sweat on mounting the doormat to get into Downing Street, let alone the steps. Big, fat, sweaty, horrible, thieving, lying, dirty, slimy rat bastard. Downing Street has rejected suggestions by the Foreign Secretary that the latest wave of US tariffs marks the return of protectionism. This is the same bloke, right? This national embarrassment is the same bloke that went on Andrew Marr and said the ERG group and bog standard boring conservatives were worse than the Austrian painters men. Think of that. So the man's a national embarrassment. He said things about Donald Trump that was so inflammatory and aggressive. I'm astounded that they didn't arrest him. If I was Trump, I'd have nicked him when he came over. I'd have been like, ah, finally you've landed, you big, fat, sweaty, horrible twat. I've been after you for years. Look him up. Treason. You can't talk about the American president like that. He is, exactly. Couldn't have put it better myself. The CFC is obviously a very sensible, wise, educated cockney. Because couldn't have put it better myself. Well done. He's had more jammy dodgers than any 20 McVitie's employees, and they get him for nout. They get to take him home after the shift. The man is a custard cream machine. And he spent $1 million on private jets. So, yeah, that's Lamtron. I've got no time for him. What else is going on? Former Tory MSP Jamie Green defects to the Labour. What, MSPs have got no moral fibre either? How surprising. This is bollocks. I'm not even going to talk about it. The Reform UK investigation. As you know, it's a stitch up. The problem is that this is why I said we've already lost, really, haven't we? Because the damage was done by Blair and then Cameron was the continuation of it. We've already lost. The right cannot get their act together because they got scattered to the winds by the degenerate globalist sociopaths who are in the command of the WHO. Because the right is not going to do anything other. I'm sure there's enough of you in the comments that refuse to vote for reform. So you're going to scatter it. The right's still going to be, it's going to be like Reform, the Conservatives, Homeland, the SDP, nowhere, UKIP, yeah, vote. And get what? 3% of the vote? So we've already lost. Well, I've told you what the point is. Long game, we haven't lost. But short and medium, we definitely have. Because when I say lost, what I'm saying is, I've made this point loads of times. When I say lost, I'm talking about common sense has lost. The ability to not have it massively kick off has gone. And I've said this at least 10 times, so I try not to repeat it every stream. Essentially, we love to say prevention is better than a cure, but we don't do prevention because we're thick. This is what I'm saying. Most people are thick. It's like 30% of society pays attention. That's it. So we don't do prevention. We only do cures. You see what I'm saying? So long term, yeah, it'll probably be all right. But this is me in 1938 when you see that, as Kipling said, decades of stupidity and inaction had made us complacent. So this is me in 1938 saying we've lost. Turned out all right. In 1946, we'd won. But we're done in the short and medium term. You're not going to fix this with diplomacy now. There's no way. There's no way. I've been saying it for years, saying we need to get a proper alternative populist option in. But it's not going to happen because we're thick. So it kicks off. And then it'll be all right. But you're looking at like 5-10 years, and it'll kick off massively. This is where I do disagree with the hardcore white nationalists. We did win. If we hadn't made a pig's ear of the last 50 years, we won. We won our independence. You can say what you want. There's even people, and I'm willing to argue with anyone, so I'm not having a go. I know there's people who are full-blown like, oh, it would have been better off if the one bollock painter had won. You could make some arguments for that, because it's gone so badly. But ultimately, you wouldn't have been free people. Like, I'm still not at the point, as bad as it's got, that you can tell me it would have been better if they'd have won. We retained our freedom. We won a conflict against an enemy that was pretty pitiless. You can make whatever arguments you like about we've made a pig's ear of the last 70 years, but we won our freedom. Like you can't tell me it would be better if they won. Because who knows? Everyone knows that you didn't have a massive problem with the British as a people, but you wouldn't have been free. So I'm still not down with that. What I'm saying is, just because we absolutely made a pig's ear of the last 70 years doesn't still mean that it wasn't a good thing to win a conflict. But yeah, look what we've done with it. Look what we've done with our freedom. So essentially, what I'm getting at is when I say we're done, is in the short and medium term. We're not going to be able to vote out of this now. The right cannot get their shit squared away. They can't do it. So they ain't going to win. I briefly, a bare dead hope that maybe Reform could win and be some sort of actually nationalist, patriotic, populist force for good. It's not going to happen though, is it? They've got 5 MPs and they're always fighting each other all the time. Most of the online right has pivoted away from them. I think for engagement, I think someone like Sargon, I think he's noticed that he gets tons of views and engagement when he's going outright against Reform. Because like I've said to you, I think it's the only option. The only possible option is Reform, and they might be terrible, but if you can do basic maths, that is the only option. Because it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. The Joe Normie isn't on YouTube. So the online right's probably about 10%. We can make up about 10% of the vote if we get everyone and we get all of our mates. So it's not going to happen. So Reform's not going to be able to win because they've pissed off all of the online right and all of the proper nationalists. UKIP's got no chance. The Conservatives have got no chance because about 40% of the party has rightly abandoned them, as I told you we need to do. We've got no chance. So the online right's done. So what you're going to get, and this is one of the even Paz who I like, but he's all dug in against Reform now. What we're going to get in 2030? What we're going to get? You tell me, if you're one of these people, almost everyone, who's slagging off Reform and saying, no, definitely can't go with them. The alternative is Labour. That's what you're getting. Or what, the Conservatives? It ain't going to be anyone else, is it? Who's it going to be? Do you think you're going to get, do you think Homeland or UKIP are going to get 40% of the vote by 2030? It's not happening. So I'm now with Peter Hitchens, who once again was basically right, wasn't he? Right? And I just want to give him all the credit that's due while I'm monologuing here. He's always right. He was right back when he made Toff at the Top and he was slagging off David Cameron. I was slagging Hitchens off. So this is about 13 years ago or something. Me and my mate, Ryan, in like 2011 or 2012 or whatever it was, when we really started to get politically engaged, sort of our like early 30s, we were in a pub going, oh yeah, David Cameron's the best Prime Minister we've had for ages. Like, we were big fans of Prime Minister Cameron. We were big fans of him. Because we were young and we were hopeful and we bought into his bollocks. Peter Hitchens didn't. He was slagging him off right there and then, saying we have to kill the Conservative Party now while we've got the chance in 2012. And he was right and I was wrong. He was right, wasn't he? He was definitely right. We were so fed up with Blair and Brown and Labour. We all jumped in with Cameron, and only like 5% of people were clever enough to go, no, we have to kill them now. That party needs to go, or else we're done. And we all ignored him and went with Cameron. And how right was he? He was right then. He was right about the pandemic. How right was he about the pandemic? He was proper, or he was on that the first month. And I started my channel about that time. And I was only right about everything because I was parroting and reading Peter Hitchens. The bloke's a visionary. And he was even right 8 months ago or 7 months ago. Because I was saying, right, we have to abandon the Tories. We have to abandon them completely. We know Labour's going to win. But we have to do it because Conservatives are just slow decline. And Hitchens, who I was disagreeing, he responded to me on Twitter about this about 7 months ago. I said, Peter, you've been saying we have to kill the Conservatives for 10 years. I always thought you were wrong. And now I've changed my mind and realised you were right. And now you're saying we have to vote for the Conservatives. And I was having a go at him about it, and he responded and said, trust me, Labour are going to be far worse than you possibly imagine. You'll be better off voting Conservative. And again, I slagged him off. How right was he? So again, I'm holding my hands up here. This is 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I was saying I was having a go at Peter Hitchens. Looks like he's been proved right to me. Looks like he's been proved right, hasn't he? Because the plan was you kill the Conservatives, you get Labour in for 4 years, and then you get a viable alternative finally. And maybe in 2029 we have a nationalist patriotic option. But how right was he? Because now, with Sargon and Paz and everybody on the online right is dug in against reform. Reform have been an embarrassment and a massive letdown. So what are we going to get? 2030, Labour. It doesn't matter how badly they do. That's what we're going to get in 2030. Because the disparate right is 5 separate parties. And everyone refuses to come together. So, he's right, wasn't he? Hitchens' Guide to the Galaxy. Definitely. And I was having a pop at him. 7 months ago. And now he's right. You will, mate, because they'll take your pension off you. We're going to go bankrupt. You won't be able to go for a walk. 60-year-old bloke won't be able to go for a walk in England in 2030. Every time you step foot out the house, you're going to get rogered. So it's going to be awful. And, and I've remembered what the rant is that I was going to go on to about Peter Hitchens. So I was telling you that I don't think he's read Heinlein because he's an old boomer. And when I was listening to him rant about how people who should... He basically said, I sound like a bit of a fascist because I think people who are cleverer, who've proved themselves, who've done, great things in business or ran great companies or served in the military for a long time and really earned the stripes, I think those people should get more votes. And Aaron Bastani was like, how would that work? Playing devil's advocate. And Peter Hitchens said, I don't really know, but I think it's a good idea. And what Peter didn't realise was he's basically parroting the same thing that I've been saying for a long time since I read Heinlein, which is the Starship Troopers model. That would work. The Starship Troopers model is my vision for how the future's going to look. Because at this point, let me tell you what I think's going to happen. And it's the plot of Starship Troopers, right? 2030, disparate right still can't get its act together. So you're going to get more of the same, and then more of the same, and then eventually, maybe we'll get another 10 years. Maybe, because it takes a lot for total societal collapse. So you're going to get another 1 million unvetted men every year. You're going to get more people on disability. You're going to get no houses, swamped. Every city's going to look like Birmingham. Mountains of bin liners. And yet, to be clear, I'm talking about the book, not the film. Because the book's clever. Much cleverer than the excellent film. But the people who made the film didn't understand it. And then you're going to get total societal collapse. And that's what's alluded to in Starship Troopers. You get total societal collapse. Veterans from a major war come back, forcibly restore order. And then after that is when they come up with the system, service guarantees citizenship, where you have to do something to earn the franchise. I think that's what's going to happen. Because 2030 now, looking at how bad it's got, with everyone slagging off reform capitulating, you've got no chance of fixing this democratically. So, as I've said, we don't do prevention, because most people are stupid. We do cures. I'm not wishing for it, but I'm predicting it, David. That's what's going to happen. I've been saying this for years. We don't do preventions. They love the mantra, prevention's better than you cure. We don't do preventions. We do wait for it all to kick off and then sort it out the hard way. Because we're stupid. We're stupid. It's what caused all the major wars. The First World War, the Second World War. It's the same shit every time. We don't do prevention. So we're not going to do prevention. We're not going to vote sensibly. We're not going to get an actual ruthlessly enforced borders, civil society, broken windows, it works, police the streets aggressively, beat bobbies, very tough on crime, very tough on immigration, force people to go to work, get 10 million disabled back in work, because there isn't 17 million people that are disabled in the UK, you raving lunatic. All that stuff's not going to happen. We're not going to build nuclear power plants. We're not going to deport criminal migrants. We're not going to enforce the borders. We're not going to do the broken windows. We're not going to police the little things. So the big things are going to swarm out of control. And then eventually gets to about 2035, total civilizational collapse. You can barely leave the house, poverty, starving to death. Then you get a load of hard bastards who've had enough, who'll kick off, retake the streets. It's going to be Starship Troopers. So at this point, my vision of the future is Starship Troopers. That's what's going to happen. We're not going to vote our way out of it. The general public's too stupid. The right's too disparate. The rest of them are all corporatist, globalist, wokeist, United Nations, Tedros, who, psychopaths, right? So in the short, medium term, we're done. But in the long term, we win. But we only get there when it all kicks off. So that was like a 20-minute rant about the where I was when people say, what's the point? But that's it. And again, just to give you a white pill, it's not the apocalypse, but it will massively kick off. We never get anything done the easy way. This is what I'm saying. We don't do the easy way. We just don't. We didn't do the easy way for the First World War, the Second World War, the Falklands War. We never do the easy way. Vietnam, we do the hard way. Clever people say, if you just do this, and this, you'll avoid mass societal disruption, war, catastrophe, death, and we always ignore them. We always ignore them. Maybe I'm 9 years over. It will take time though. Like, we'll get by on the fumes and the borrowing for a long time. They'll just keep printing money. They'll just keep borrowing. You know, look how much gas you've got in the tank with borrowing. Look at the GDP, look at the deficit in places like Japan. Like, we've actually got some petrol left in the tank, haven't we? If you're thinking about just printing money and borrowing. Like, it'll go on for a while. You know, we can handle another 5-10 million unvetted men in the UK before it collapses. And then when it does, there'll be shitloads of them. So instead of it being an easy fight to win, it'll be quite a rough one. But we'll win. We'll win. Angry boomers can fight. When it really comes down to it, modern weaponry is the ultimate force multiplier. They'll probably end up just emptying all the armories to any red-blooded Englishman over the age of about 20. And you're going to end up with a load of fat middle-aged boomers and above doing a load of scrapping. It's like, that's the way it'll go. But they'll still win, won't they? They'll still win. And looking at the numbers, they're still massively outnumbered. Like, the UK is still like 75%. Plus, you have to think, not all of them are going to be on the forces of chaos, are they? Some of those migrants, especially ones from Eastern Europe, Christians, some of them are going to side with the patriotic types. So, yeah, win in the end, but it's got to kick off first. Trust me. Wise British once said, it has to get a whole lot worse before it gets exactly so. Clever man. But not as clever as DS, because apparently he told me this 5 years ago. Yeah, so that's the journey I've been on. And I'm forced to conclude, once again, Peter Hitchens was right. We'd have been better off with the Tories. But I couldn't foresee the total collapse of reform. So the plan was, kill the Tories forever. Let Labour run amok. We knew, I was right about that. We knew how bad Labour was going to be. Like, I didn't think Labour were going to be any better than they are. Like, we knew what we were getting with Labour. Everyone knew what Starmer, the type of creature Starmer was. I just didn't envisage the total collapse of the right. Like, it's so, we're done, aren't we? 2029 is going to be a Labour victory. They'll have like 20% popularity and no one will vote. And then you'll get like 4 or 5% for like 6 different nationalist options. And Labour will win again with like 20% popularity. So totally shagged. Yeah, get used to it. Starship Troopers, that's my prediction for the future. Let's just go and have a quick look at Twitter before I bugger off, eh? Let's see what's happening on here, because there's always fun on Twitter. Man kicked out and arrested for calling someone a good boy. I love it. I love the way the bobbies are nowadays. They're a joke. I could finish on another rant about the bobbies, but I won't bother. Let's see what Grok says about... Grok's really good, I've noticed. Let's see what Grok says about the Labour election campaign. The Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer, is campaigning for the May 1st election with a focus on securing borders. Again, every single thing they do is wrong. Look. Securing borders. What? Labour? That's been letting people in on purpose and the whole party's full of open borders activists? Yeah, of course they are. It says Labour's campaign has drawn support and criticism on social media. Critics accuse Labour of deception, no shit Sherlock, and ineffective policies, particularly regarding their approach to NHS and welfare, while supporters highlight achievements such as resolving NHS... Oh yeah, that's an achievement. Give them everything they want. Achievement. Well done. Well done. Masterful negotiation. They resolved the strikes because they paid everyone everything they wanted, and that's why we're going to go bankrupt. I mean, if you think that's an achievement, you really have got a head full of horse shit. I don't know what to tell you. There's also a strategic voting debate with concerns that votes for Labour or Reform could inadvertently benefit the Conservatives. Yeah. No shit Sherlock. So we're done, aren't we? Labour. They're going to win the next election. I'm loving that. What else is happening? Dan Norris, Diddler, we've already talked about that. Jaguar Land Rover halts US shipments. Tell us, yeah, that's why no one's buying them. Yeah, of course it is. No one's buying them because you made a weird, creepy, degenerate, pervert advertising campaign. That's why no one's buying Jaguars. Christ on a bike. So that's brilliant. If you missed the Jaguar advert, you're missing out. I suppose I could show that. There's bound to be some people. I've got 1,600 people in here, it says on StreamYard. There's bound to be some people who missed the Jaguar advert. So I'll show you it just for a laugh. Because there's bound to be some of you people who missed it. And this is beyond weird, pervert degeneracy. Look at this. Share this time instead. Here we are. Enjoy it while I have a drink. Can I make the screen a bit bigger? There we are. Look at his hair. Right, Pac-Man. No YouTube censors. I didn't say black man. I said Pac-Man. Because that's what his head looks like. How good's that? There isn't even a car in the advert. No, think of that. There isn't even a car. It's just weirdos in a room. Weirdos in a room that's bell end purple. I don't think it's any coincidence that the whole scene is bell end colour. That's the shade they were going for. They had this lot. Look at all these weirdos. They had this lot around the desk. And they're like, what colour should we make? They go, bell end purple. Yeah. Bell end purple. This is what we're dealing with. No car, just degeneracy, bell end purple. All right. Does that make you want to buy a Jaguar? Because it doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me. That's why they're not selling cars. All right. It's not the trade embargo. It's because they're all mentally ill. Get used to it. That's life. Winner. Love that. What else is going on? Oh, no, the Grand National was on. I didn't even think. See, I'm living over here. I totally forgot about it. I always used to put it. My nana always used to put me £1 on any horse I wanted on the Grand National. It was like a tradition. I'll tell you what, we'll end on this because I've got my own opinions on this, like most things. We'll end on this. Broadway's Boy. I'll put it big so you can read it. Broadway's Boy falls at the 2025 Grand National, sparking welfare debate. During the 2025 Grand National, a horse named Broadway Boy suffered a severe fall, sparking widespread concern and debate over horse welfare. Initially, there was criticism towards ITV for not providing immediate updates on the horse's condition. Later updates confirmed the Broadway boy and Calebra Dellen were unable to walk for veterinary treatment, alleviating some concerns. Or they were able to walk. Okay, so they didn't have to shoot him. This incident has fueled a broader conversation about the ethics of horse racing, while some advocating for better welfare standards, while others defended the immediate medical attention provided by the racing industry. Right, so let's finish on this. A little rant I can finish on, because I've had this argument with loads of hippies. I love it, okay? First of all, neither of them died. It's rare, very rare. Secondly, they get the best medical treatment, they get the best food, they get the best water, they get looked after. There's thousands and thousands of horses and they get studied and they keep mating and breeding and there's loads of horses because there's a lot of money to be made. There's entertainment to be made because God knows we should have some entertainment and we should enjoy our lives. God knows we should be allowed to go to the racetrack and have a drink with all of our friends and socialise and have some level of quality of life. No. Sit in your little box apartment, get your jabs, plug yourself into your Gobbletron 5000, yeah, shag your robots and watch digital horses on screen by yourself in a box. Shut up, hippie. Shut up, globalist hippie. Let me tell you what I like. I like going to the racing. I like drinking cans in the middle of York racetrack with me mates, having a good time. If every now and then, it's a rare occasion, a horse dies, that's quite sad, but it doesn't matter because the fact is there's tens of thousands of more horses in the world getting good food and good drink and shagging each other senseless because of the horse racing industry. Brings a lot of pleasure to millions. It brings a lot of pleasure to horses. It brings a lot of more horses into the world. If you're thick as shit because you're an animal welfare activist and you do, as you always do, throw yourself into things because you think you're helping, I'm helping. Let me tell you what happens when you ban horse racing overnight, you thick, woke, shit for brains, all right? All the racehorses, kebab. That's what happens. It's not a 3-point plan, it's a 2-point plan. Ban horse racing, all horses kebabs. Done. No one's going to pay to feed them, no one's going to give them veterinary treatment, no one's going to give them the best food and water. Ban horse racing, kebabs. That's what happens. If you think banning it's a good idea, you're a moron, all right? Like all left-wing people, and you leap into a solution because you think you're helping and you're not helping. Unintended consequences. Do a basic risk assessment before you open your mouth, you thick, fat, purple-haired, coach ball through your tongue, ugly, hippie bastard. All right? Done. I think that's a nice time to stop, isn't it? You're welcome. Rushed back from Pismo Beach for that. I hope you all enjoyed it. Oh yeah, and I missed Super Chat, didn't I? Mickey Walsh. Lammy kept fried chicken joints open in Tottenham. Of course he did. Lambtron likes chicken. And Robert Wrightson, give me £2 for no reason. Thanks for that, Robert. Much appreciated. Stu, I hope you enjoy your t-shirt. Joe, thanks for the super sticker. Everybody else, especially the channel members, you should join if you're not a member because it keeps YouTube off my back. Okay, everybody else, thanks for coming. Hope you have a good weekend. I'll see you all on Monday. All right, enjoy yourselves. Oh, no, I won't. I'm on my Ragnar tomorrow. That's right. And I'm meeting Nick Buckley tomorrow as well. I've got loads of stuff to do tomorrow. So I'll see you then. See you tomorrow. And then I'll see you on Monday. Okay? Have a good weekend. Have a drink. Enjoy yourselves. Watch the horse racing. See you later. Cheers.